everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
I want to welcome everyone here today. I believe we do have a quorum, Mary.
Yes, we do have a quorum of the executive board.
All right. Quickly, I do want to just acknowledge that this week is National Peace Officers Memorial Week. I want to say on behalf of this board how much we appreciate the service and dedication of those in law enforcement and public safety in general, and those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We will forever be indebted. We do want to say thank you. And with that, we'll move quickly. Move to the report of the Executive Director, Mr. Warner.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Sedekor. Just a few quick things. First of all, just an announcement that the partnership that the EPA has been doing in Gary, working with communities there. There's a symposium coming up July 22nd and 23rd. And more details will be coming on that, but a heads up on that opportunity to follow up on the work that they've done in the communities around in Gary. Also, we have started switching over in our mailing list system. You may have seen this already, to a new system called Constant Contact that allows much more manageability for our mailing list. And so when you see something coming from that looks a little different than past NERC emails, don't delete it. That's our notification system. So keep an eye out for that. We have a recognition, but I think they're out actually in the field because that's what they do. So we'll wait for for the next meeting, I think, to recognize Terrell and his service. Also, just want to say Steve Strange and I were both out at the American Planning Association conference in Atlanta. About 5,000 planners out there. And many topics, of course, going on with that many planners in Atlanta. Was very impressed with what Atlanta's been doing. They've often been the poster child for sprawl and congestion, and to see the way that they've dealt with that has been pretty inspiring. In fact, they were the pilot for what became our community, Creating Livable Communities program, and the work that they've done there. Also a project called the Atlanta Beltline, where this is a perimeter trail development where businesses and restaurants have actually started locating along the trail to get that return on investment off of the trail. It's been hugely successful and a good model for us to take a look at as well. I think that's pretty much all I have, so thank you very much.
Thank you. That takes us to the approval of the minutes for the April 17th full commission meeting. Board members, I know you've been provided a copy of those minutes. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, move approval of minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's move to Finance and Personnel Committee. Mr. Jim Tunn, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a couple of items that we need to have approval of the commission on this morning. They are in relation to the bikes and trails, and bikes and trains, excuse me, bikes on trains project. That's an 80% funded FTA and a 20% funded outside agencies for an engineering study. What we need to do is have a budget amendment to put that into our budget. There's no NERC money there. It's outside agencies and FTA for that engineering study. So I would move at this time that we make the budget amendment, which is in your packets, in order to put that into our operating procedures.
That is a motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second? You have a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. On the second item that's recommended by the F&P committee is a procurement recommendation. That procurement recommendation will be for an engineering study for the Bikes on Trains study to begin. We need to bring the money in, and then we need permission to put the money out to see what kind of proposals we get. Now, if and when engineering firm is selected and the proposals have been studied, we will bring that back with a recommendation to this commission for the securing of that agency. This is not to hire, this is just to allocate our time and our potential funds to the study acquisition, to get the study going. So the F&P has recommended that we go ahead and do the procurement recommendations. And I would make a motion that we approve the action of the F&P committee.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the third item would be one that I would turn over to our executive director to mention specifically this time because it's relative to our finance status in the NERC.
Thank you. I think you've heard in the past the comprehensive annual financial review that NERC had prepared had received a certificate for excellence in financial reporting, and we've now been made official with that recognition and that award. We've received the actual plaque, and it's very heavy. I'd be glad to pass that around if you'd like to see it, but this will be prominently mounted and has all these nice spaces for future years to continue this recognition. Again, this is, as they said in their transmittal, this is the highest recognition that a government entity can receive for financial reporting. And so congratulations to Angie and her staff and keeping our finances in good shape and the transparency involved with that. This is a great recognition.
That concludes my report with thanks for a job well done to our finance staff.
Yes. All right, let's move to Transportation Policy Committee. I believe Mr. Standovas is going to lead that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Policy Committee met on May 13th. We have 4 actions for consideration today. The committee heard a presentation from Ms. Barlogo regarding the new U.S. Census report on walking and biking to work. For more details on the findings, please talk to Mitch. The first action is adoption resolution 1416 on page 13 regarding the Unified Planning Work Program for fiscal year 2015-2016. Eman Abraham will describe the action.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, wow, that's too dark. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to give you an overview about the Unified Planning Work Program, which is showing what we are doing for the next 2 years. The purpose of the UPWP is how to allocate planning resources and funding and allocate each staff or every one of us with certain programs and projects to just look at different issues or any requirement coming from FHWA or FTA. So that's our purpose, is to focus the financial planning and also follow all the regulation comings from the federal government. So the first regulation is moving ahead for progress in 21st century, or they call it MAP 21, and that's a new regulation comings, and they have a set of requirements which we should follow with our planning program. The second one is a Clean Air Act amendment in 1990, and that's basically related to the air quality since we are non-attainment area. So the UPWP is covering the period from July 1st of 2014 up to June 30th of 2016. So that's the period of the time. What's included in the UPWP, it's how does the staff work? Do you know how many departments and who's doing what and who's under what? And we have like a planning department, financial department, and environmental department. So that's what we have, and we have different projects allocated under everyone. We put the requirement, we put the tasks, we put the budget, everything within the UPWP. So anybody wants to know what NERC is doing, that's the good document to know exactly what we're doing and how many projects and how many staff. That's showing the staff organization and which department. As I mentioned, finance and administration, planning department, environmental department, and then also we have the partner agency here. And then we have the TIE and who's reporting to TIE, and the TIE reporting to the commission. So that's the organization of our agency here. The budget, that's really important. So we have a budget for 2 years. That's for 2015 here, which is almost we have less than the previous year, and that's the 2016. This number could change based on other grants that we are applying for, and we could amend the budget in the future. So the NERC budget is divided into 4 categories. So we have planning, and this funding coming from DOT and coming from FTA, 5303, and then we have Surface Transportation Program, STP funding, and then we have the FTA, also Federal Transit Authority, which is 5307, and then we have the CMAQ, Congestion Management Air Quality Funding, and then we have other NERC, which is other grants that we get, and that's basically under the Environmental Planning Department. And that's showing here how we divided the budget, the total, as I mentioned before, for every year. So that's where we get the money and how we divided the budget. So again, what's included in the UPWP, we have some required elements. We have planning issues that we are discussing, and we have to put certain programs to meet or to solve these issues, and then we have planning priorities. Every year, FHWA send to us a planning emphasis area, that certain area that we should focus on. And every year is changing. Some years it's just like maybe they're repeating the same emphasis area, but this year they made some slightly changes. And also we get other planning emphasis area from Federal Transit Authority. So when we design our programs or our projects, we have to meet these requirements. So that's the first thing that we should include. Planning issue, we do certification review, which is happening by FHWA and FTA. They review the MPO, the function, the work that we're doing, and they come up with some recommendations. So we consider these recommendations also in our planning, and we try to find the optimum solution or good programs to meet recommendations coming from the certification review. And also other issue identified by the public or by the staff or coming from the 2040 plan. So, and that's what we include in the planning issue. The priorities that we have here, the 2040 comprehensive plan, we are in the process of implementation of the 2040 plan. So, and that's first priority. We came up with some implementation projects. One of them is the CLC. We do the update of the market plan, and then we have other also implementation activity. Sustainable Communities Partnership, that's the partnership between EPA, DOT, and HUD. And within that, they came with the 6 priority area, and that's what we try to include that within our planning efforts. And of course, MAP 21, as I mentioned, the new regulations, and then performance-based planning, that's a new priority area coming from MAP 21, and that's how to come up with a system and evaluation of all the programs that we're doing, or how we gonna measure advancement in our planning. You know, like if we did the plan, we have some recommendation. So 5 years from now, we will do the evaluation and see if they really, you know, like all the planning strategies that we put working really well. So that's the performance-based planning. And then the tasks here, we have like planning administration, and that's include 3 programs. All the planning management committee support, and then how to do administration for all the federal money that we are receiving here. And then the data, we have all type of data, so we have GIS management system, and then we have also forecast and demographics, and we have the traffic data collection. That's out of our data. Short range planning, and that's all the planning activities and implementation happening between 1 to 5 years. And that's include 4 categories. Every category has 1 or 2 staff under these programs. That's, again, you know, some people, they think that like NERC has like maybe 24 staff and what they are doing. We are really doing a lot here at NERC in different activities. A long-range planning, and that's for all the horizon up to 20 years. And we have here different categories, starting from the comprehensive plan, land use, congestion management, environmental mitigation, non-motorized, safety, freight planning, travel modeling, air quality, intelligent transportation system or ITS. The new one is the performance-based planning, and then we have regional corridor study. That's a new study also will be looking on how to improve connectivity and networking within the 3-county area. So that's, we identified this issue with the 2040 plan, and then we decided to put a new program to handle this networking or connectivity issue. And then we also have public outreach, and of course we have website management, and then the program vehicle oversight program that's working with all the communities in that. And then we have also some planning, which is supporting all the TIP projects. And then we have transit planning, and that's transit planning, and then we have also transit administration for all the transit activities that we're having here. We have new projects coming also, the one you just approved, the bike on rail, that's a new program. And then most of the UPD NERC programs, that's all under the environmental director, and we also, or environmental department, we are using some of the CMAQ money for the air quality education and outreach, MS4, Brownfield, all of that are new grants that we got here at NERC, and we have all of these activities happening within 2 years. And then we have also the general management and all the staff support services at NERC. So that's an overview of what we're doing exactly here at NERC. We are too busy. We have so many activities happening. Hopefully, we'll have time to finish all of that. So I'm just requesting to have an action for the adoption of the Unified Planning Work Program for the next 2 years, 2015 and 2016.
Mr. Chairman, the Transportation Policy Committee recommends adoption.
All right, do I have a motion by an executive board member on this?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second action is adoption of Resolution 1417 on page 22, the 18th amendment to the fiscal year 2014-2017 Transportation Improvement Program. Gary Evers will describe the action.
Thank you, Stan. This amendment consists of state projects a short list of state projects that will be added to the Transportation Improvement Program. First one is the list on page 24 is a realignment of the channel Willow Creek beneath a bridge on I-94 several miles west of here. This is the same bridge that carries I-94 over US 20. Second project is a pipelining project, also on I-94, about a mile east of here. Simply a very simple project. A couple of institutional projects, repaving roads at the state prison in Michigan City, and also at Fish Hatchery on DNR property near Kingsbury Ordnance Plant in LaPorte County. And finally, installation of some centerline rumble strips on State Road 2 between I-65 and US 41. We would ask that you approve the addition of these projects to the TIP.
The Transportation Committee recommends adoption of Resolution 1417.
So moved.
And this is amendment 2.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Third action is adoption of Resolution 1418 on page 25, the 19th Amendment to the fiscal year 2014-2017 Transportation Improvement Program. Gary Evers will describe the action.
Thank you. These are local public agency projects. Short list there on page 27. City of Crown Point, we're adding a right-of-way phase and restating the federal funds for a drainage improvement and bicycle pedestrian project at the corner of Broadway and 101st Avenue. Porter County, a recreational trails project has been approved by NDOT at Brinka Garden Trails. We've indicated the location here. I wasn't aware that this even existed, but I guess it's quite a facility. And it's something I want to go see once the work is done. LaPorte County, Johnson Road at County Road 500 West, 250 South, we're adding a right-of-way phase. Cedar Lake, Lakeshore Drive, intersection improvements at Klein Avenue on the north side of the lake. We're adding a right-of-way phase there as well and restating the federal share that's already in the TIP. Finally, we're adding a PE phase to a Lake Station intersection improvement project, Fairview at Central Avenue. We have moved some safety funds over from the Highway Safety Improvement Program Fund and into STP, and we'll be spending those dollars for that purpose. If there are no questions, we would ask for inclusion of these projects in the TIP.
Chairman, Transportation Committee recommends adoption.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
All
sir.
of you are welcome to come out to Porter County Parks. They've done a splendid job of enhancing these areas. Brinka Cross was a hosta farm at one time and well known because of Mr. Cross and Mr. Brinka. So we're very happy to have it, and thank you for supporting that.
There is no other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The third action is adoption of Resolution 1418 on page 25, the 19th Amendment to the fiscal year 2014-2017 Transportation Improvement Program. Gary will. We just did that one. I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
just did that one. I do have one.
I usually check them off and I didn't check them. Another lesson.
I've got
Final
one.
action is adoption of NERC federal funds exchange program policy. Gary Evers will again describe this action.
Thank you. The 2013 session of the General Assembly enacted Public Law 141, and this is entitled the Federal Fund Exchange Program, creation of a new program within NDOT. Under this program, units of government, specifically municipalities and counties, are permitted to exchange their STP, Surface Transportation Program funding awards that have been made to them by either NDOT or MPOs for state funding.
the handout that, there was a separate handout on this morning, has bullet points for the components of the program. There's an exchange rate set by the program at 75 cents on the dollar. A unit of government would trade in $1 in federal funds and get back 75 cents in state funds. The purpose here is to avoid a lot of the federal red tape that's involved in many times involved in a federal aid construction project. Some things, the LPA will experience the savings on, some things not. But it's another tool that the General Assembly provided to us that in some cases will really benefit a community, especially if the PE costs are low, if there's a minimal right-of-way to be purchased, the federal requirements are set aside and the state requirements are put in its place. The unit of government bids the project out themselves, NDOT doesn't do it. A number of ways to save a few dollars on this process. Very wisely, there's a requirement that the participating government calculate the benefit to them of participating in this exchange. The funded project has to be for whatever the SDP funds were originally allocated for, and there's a penalty provision in there. What happens if they don't build what they said they were going to build? Cost reimbursement type of project, meaning that the unit of government would have to pay for the project itself and then submit claims to NDOT for reimbursement. A really neat program from my point of view. Again, it's another tool to let communities kind of chart their own course, get rid of some of the federal requirements, and hopefully bring these projects to letting ahead of whenever they were originally projected to be let. 3 pilot projects going on right now, 2 of which I remember. One is in Vincennes and another one in Carmel. And so it's sort of in its infancy and experimental stages now. But we do have 2 units of government who have expressed some interest in participating in the program. So this was brought to our attention, and stakeholders met last week to kind of mull it over. And what you have in front of you is our proposed policy. Our rules are real simple, real straightforward. The unit of governments have to inform us ahead of the beginning of the state fiscal year in which the exchange is to take place. For 2014, for this year, the notifications would need to be submitted to us by the end of May. For next year, and every year thereafter, it would be 60 days ahead of a July 1st start date. The unit must self-determine that the exchange is in their own best interest. This is kind of a recap of what's already in the statute, so it's really nothing extraordinary. The community has to certify to us that the amount being exchanged will not exceed the amount listed in the tip, and a simple agreement to inform us of the completed transaction. We would ask you to give your maybe a voice vote of approval on this policy. This is something totally new for us, but yet we see it as really another arrow in our quiver, so to speak, of getting projects built.
Any questions?
Yeah, before we can do anything with this, we will have to entertain an amendment to the agenda, because this is not listed on our agenda. Certainly we can entertain discussion now, and then if the board so chooses to amend the agenda to take action on this, we can. Mr. Soliday?
This came through my committee in the House, and actually Bob Cherry from the Farm Bureau carried the bill. The program's been very effective in Utah, I believe, and Kansas. It gives an opportunity to leverage funds and make more funds available for other projects. For example, if the federal requirement to build a bridge is that it has to be 4 lanes wide, and our view is the road will never be used more than 2 lanes wide, it allows you to build the 2-lane wide bridge. And again, It's been used very, very effectively in a few states. It is very arcane to understand. Therefore, the state is moving very slowly in, like we always do, and doing some projects just to see how they work and where the bumps in the road might be. And I had spoken to Ty. I think the NERC staff does a really, really good job, and we have some projects up here that I think would make very good test projects. So if we can get this in place and be part of the guiding group for where the good things and where the bad things are, I think this is a good place to have us it begin. So,
Are you recommending that we amend the agenda to include this to take action?
I will do that if it so
Okay.
pleases the chair.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Was there any other discussion on, or are we just going to pass it?
Well, what we're going to do is amend the agenda to allow us to take action on it, and then we can go to
Just one
discussion.
observation, and I'll
Okay, okay. So all in favor to amend the agenda to include action to be considered on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion approves it. Okay,
discussion.
yes, is there a motion to approve?
I
this
was
one?
at the Transportation Policy Committee meeting where this was gone into in great detail. And it is a very positive program, and I think it's innovative and proactive. The only comment that I would make is that from the hearing of it, it's a different paradigm than what people are used to, and they're looking for funding. So just be careful and read it carefully, and be aware that some things you need to do differently and other things you don't need to do at all.
So are you,
It's a
are you,
positive step, but just make sure you're familiar with the requirements of it before you go into it.
so are
And
you
I
making a
will, as
motion
such,
to,
make- yes.
okay, to approve the federal fund exchange program and support it with
So
the
done.
policy recommendations as so stated?
Mhm.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting of the Transportation Policy Committee is scheduled for 9:00 a.m. Tuesday, June 10th at the NERC office. And that concludes the report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Govas. Is there any other business to come before the executive board? Oh, I'm sorry, again, Mr. Alderman's report. Mr. Alderman, do you have a report that you would like to?
First, some personnel changes that you might be interested in. Angie Fagaris has now moved from capital programs to being the construction director for the district. Unfortunately, Mr. Pinkerton has left me for greener grass in Chicago. His experience with working the Ileana he received a lot of notice and got an offer that was really hard or impossible for him to turn down. Let me introduce Jim Pinkerton's replacement. Jennifer Olander will be replacing Jim. Hopefully you'll all get familiar with Jennifer and you won't call me. Just kidding. But Jennifer has been our customer service manager prior to this. She's been with NDOT a number of years. She's very good at what she does, and after last winter, the fact that she's still sane tells me that she's probably the right person. Thank you, Jennifer. We have the most pressing issues that we have right now. We have 2 emergency contracts for winter damage to the roads, one for the southern part of our district, one for the northern part, multiple millions of dollars. Not willing to put a final dollar figure on it at this point, but it is a very, very significant amount of money. We've also, because of where it was at in its development stage, US 20, from the LaPorte County line to 94, that project has been pushed up and it will be let this year. It was scheduled for 16, as I recall, but all of the design and environmental work is pretty much done on it, so we're going to see that happen. The emergency contracts will happen in the next 60 days. We certainly go forward trying to examine our winter operations and improve those. You'll see a significant improvement by the time we get back to winter again. I think this winter has shown us every weakness that we have in the system, and we're going to find ways to repair those weaknesses. Just moved $400,000 into 2 contract accounts for wire replacement. As you know, we've had incredible copper wire thefts from our lighting. The whole lighting system on Klein Avenue at the Majestic Star, 3,600 feet of heavy gauge copper stolen after it had just been replaced. I mean, this is so significant, not only to the taxpayers, but to the safety of the people who travel these highways. 2 people have been arrested. They were arrested here in Porter County, and then one of them rearrested in DeKalb County, northern Fort Wayne, for the same thing. It's one of those, forgive me, but most of you don't know my complete background, thank God. I spent 20 years as a cop, and as part of that I went through the federal organized crime program, and how the Bob weighs things up is risk versus reward. And obviously there's an incredibly profitable reward in this business at the price of copper. So it's a significant problem, but it certainly is putting a lot of people at risk and stealing a lot of taxpayers' dollars. Hopefully that will be a consideration as these people go to court in the sentencing phase, once I truly believe they'll be found guilty. The state police last week found a vehicle that unfortunately they were able to get the wire loose from the back of the vehicle. They had actually clipped or tied the wire onto the back of this vehicle, pulling it out. And the police saw the vehicle there, stopped it, but that time all of this copper wire is laying out on the ground, but it's not hooked to the vehicle. And so they wrote him a ticket for improper parking or something like that, just to get the license number. These are folks that will be looked at in the future, but it's an incredibly expensive proposition. It's costing us a lot of money. Hopefully everybody will stay aware of these folks. We need all the information we can get to start to put these people in jail. They're costing you a lot of money, and they're endangering your families and your constituents as they move on the highway system. Other than that, I have nothing else. Good to see you all. Thank God it's not snowing. I was shocked. I would offer this one little editorial. I heard Tom Skilling talking about rain. And Skilling said that for 1 inch of rain in Lake County, Illinois, that's 16 billion gallons of water. And I just find that incredible. Now we'll just ask God to take back, I don't know, 40 billion gallons of snow. Huh? Thank you all.
Okay, we'll move on to other business. Is there any? Yes.
Just a question for Ty. All of us are hoping that the folks in Washington take care of the trust fund. Will we have an impact if they do not, if they wind up deadlocking and not infusing some cash into the trust fund? And do we have a plan to deal with them?
That's a very, very good question. I think it's by, September, I think, where everything starts falling off the cliff, so to speak.
They're even talking July, possibly July, in this morning's papers.
The supposition and everything that I've heard is that there will be a continuing resolution and fusion, which is not a long-term, as you know, sustainable course of action. So we're working very closely with NARC, National Association of Regional Councils, and others to try to create those backup plans for other MPOs in the country. So We're very much in touch. In fact, some of us are going out to the NARC conference in Louisville coming up in June, where this is primary. So we'll be formulating, trying to find a plan if there's not a news about where that's going to head.
But if there were a shortfall in July, we would be able to continue with, I know almost everybody in Indiana is betting that they'll, because we're common sense people, that they'll reach a short-term solution. But in the event that doesn't happen, does that affect our payroll? Does that affect our projects? What does it affect?
I think I'll have to take a look and see exactly when that starts kicking in, where we feel the effect of that. I can't answer that right off the top of my head, but it's not going to be an immediate impact in September.
Could I maybe help? The federal funds that go into our planning grants are obligated within federal highways accounting system before the contract is issued. So we're good for the entire length of that contract. Where the harm will occur is on the construction activities. Everything stops. Positively, absolutely, everything stops. And I know some NDOT folk are being paid with federal funds as well. So there would be some impacts within NDOT as well. But I think we're good until, we'd be good for another 12 months, actually.
Thanks for raising that issue. I mean, it's critical.
Are there any other business items to bring out? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to announcements. Are there any announcements? Hearing none, we'll move on. We'll be moving to public comment. Jeff, if you could grab that microphone and maybe move it to the opening there, and we'll for speakers. We have quite a few public comments, those that want to speak, so we're going to move. First is Renee Jackson from Gary. Renee.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My public comment basically is, I noticed that it's been moved to the end again.
Yeah.
But last month when I came here, and it takes considerable time for me to get to a 9 o'clock meeting. I'm not a morning person. I gotta get up 6 o'clock in the morning to look this good to get here. And I wasn't allowed to speak last month because you said it wasn't an item on the agenda. I wanted to speak on public comment and the fact that it was where it was. So to stifle my First Amendment right because you don't feel that, it fits in the agenda was not right. All we asked for was our 3 minutes. You denied 4 people 3 minutes, and now you got a room full of folks. So how'd that work out for you?
Thank you, Renee. Next is Betty Hunt, I believe it is, from Gary. Betty? We can bring the microphone if there's a need. We can always bring the microphone.
Okay, this is my first time here, and it seems that...
Betty, I can't hear you.
This is my first time here, and it seems that you all are going pretty fast with your agenda, and I'm kind of like Renee, why is it that the public comment is at the end of the meeting instead of at the beginning?
All right. Next is Teresa Torres.
Like I was saying last month, every person who comes out here to Portage to speak to you represents, as the sign says, 1,000 voices. As I told you, Brian, it's great that you want to do me the personal favor and let me speak if I get your attention and talk to you ahead of time. It was a real nice offer. The problem is that when you disrespect those people who are speaking for these folks, you're disrespecting them. Over the 20 years that I've come to NERC, I've heard all about how Teresa keeps bringing those people. What you don't understand is I'm not bringing them, they are sending me. That's why when you don't want to hear what we've got to say, you're not listening to the public. I saw the lovely report and the lovely chart, and I hear about your terrific plaque, and that's great. But there is no transparency. You know there's not. You've been cited for it in the past. You can give each other all the accolades you want, but you just took $1 million and shuffled it around in your budget without any discussion, without any acknowledgement or even awareness on the part of this commission. Maybe that's only $1 million to you, but it's these folks' lives. When you take money that was earned by the ridership of the Hammond area, who use fixed route services, and shuffle it off to other communities without even acknowledging that you're doing it, that's not real transparent. And that's really unfortunate. I also ask that you start applying your policies consistently, not in accordance with how many people happen to be in the room, but consistently. If there's any matter that has to do with NERC's areas of responsibility, you have an obligation to allow the public to speak. I say nothing different today than I tried to say a month ago when you chose to bang the gavel, ask me to remove myself, and threaten to have me arrested. If you guys aren't willing to meet your full obligations, you need to remove yourselves.
Well,
Thank you.
Woo!
Barbara Blackman?
Amen.
Barbara Blackman? Barbara Blackman, is she in the room?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm legally blind and I'm hard of hearing. But I've been coming here for like 15 years. And I still ask, and somebody listen, how am I going to get out here when I don't drive? I need transportation out here to your meetings. I'm very interested in what goes on in the community. And still, I say I'm so hurt about Hammond losing its buses. That's all I have to say.
Jim Nowacki?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jim Nowacki. I'm a resident of the city of Gary. Earlier this week, I attended the Transportation Policy Committee meeting here at NERC, and I was a bit concerned about some of the statements made by Joe Krinkovic, who represents the NICD, the South Shore Railroad. In his statements, he had made two significant misrepresentations on that policy committee. One was that that there's a status quo regarding the stations, the South Shore stations in Gary, Indiana. That's patently false. I attend the NICD meetings regularly, and my comments are always regarding these three stations currently in operation in Gary, Indiana. And Mr. Parsons directly makes the point to the board that it is the policy of NICD to close stations in Gary, and it's only a question of when and how they do that, but it is the policy to close those stations, so that was patently false. The other statement he made was regarding the cost of improvements to the downtown Broadway station. He had said that the cost would be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. These statements were both reported in our region's one of our region's great daily newspapers. According to the Structure Point report, which was authorized by NICD and was accepted by the NICD board, the cost for making the high-level platform additions at both the downtown station and the Miller station would be less than $50 million. Now, an exaggeration of 400%, perhaps I could get away with that, but I bet if I did make a 400% exaggeration, someone on this board would have corrected me. However, Mr. Sinkovic, acting in his official capacity, as a representative on the Transportation Committee, was able to get away with that without any questions. So I want to make sure that the board knows that these false statements made by the representative of NICD, and I would want to also bring to the board's attention that your own policy regarding the 2040 plan, any closing of stations in Gary would fly in direct opposition to the stated purposes of your own plan. It would also, I think, directly impact the city of Gary and our residents in the city of Gary as an economic. It would be an economic disaster. I think be a racial injustice in our city. So I would want to put the NICD board on notice, and the NERC board, and ask that you all take your responsibilities as planning organ for the region to make sure that that your representatives give you factual information, and that when we have a plan that we've all accepted, that we not allow it to be casually cast aside for purposes other than purposes that meet the full acceptance of the board. So I'm going to be at the NICD meeting this next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday. Bring it to their attention, but since these misrepresentations were made right here at NERC, I think the NERC board has to take some action to correct that misrepresentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next is Roy Dominguez.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to address you. Let me also start off with thanking our brothers and sisters and our neighbors who have served in law enforcement and who continue to serve. And may God bless those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and their families as well. We thank them for all their services every day. Let me also say, I'm obviously impressed with all the things that you do. You do a lot of great things, and let me not congratulate you on that as well. And I know many of you here today, and maybe on a personal basis, and I've seen you in many different venues. And I know that you're a caring person, and I know that you care about the constituents that you serve. And you've heard the comments, but we want to know, those of us from Everybody Counts, and people in the community, specifically, in all that you do. You know, I've been there too. You work every day and you question about the things that didn't happen. You say, well, how about everything that I did do? How about the 1 through 9? So again, I want to congratulate you on the 1 through 9. I'd ask you to consider, many of us who represent people out in the community, through Everybody Counts, people who are poor, people who are disabled, people who want jobs, people who want better business, people who want a better environment. A bus system in Northwest Indiana is important. It is very important. An integrated bus system is important. It's important to all of us. It's important to our future. It's important for those who want jobs, people who want to go shopping, people who want to go to the theater. You know, people with disabilities just don't want to go to the doctor's office.
Thank you.
This is their freedom. This is their freedom. They want to be able to get on a bus to go to the park. They want to be able to go to the bus to see their relatives. They want to go on the bus to celebrate. They want to be able to go to the bus to attend some festivals. None of that exists. And you folks are it. You folks are the ones that they're looking to give them some hope. And that's what they want here, is some hope. Some hope that you would make the difference in their lives. And you have in many, many instances. But I'm referring specifically to a bus. So don't take my comments and not to recognize all the hard work that you've done in many, many other areas and things that you've done for our community. I do. I say that again. I said it for the third time. But bus services is so, so important, and integrated bus services. And we can't, just if you've done on other programs and on other initiatives, look at our taxpayer dollars, see where it's being spent, avoid duplication, see how we can expand it, see how we can integrate it. What's wrong with that? That's what they're asking for. And if there's a meeting, you had said a meeting before, and I hope I'm not over my 3 minutes up. I'll try to stay within that. And I truly thank you for the opportunity to address you. I guess if you look at the dollars, how's it spent? How can you avoid duplication? How can you enhance? What's wrong with that? That's what they're asking for. And they've been here for 20, 25 years. If they're angry, or their anger may be another person's passion. And they've come to you for many, many years with their passion for bus services. It's their freedom. It's their civil rights. That's how we see it. And you folks are it. And so maybe I'd encourage you, if you would, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is to form a committee. You formed a committee last year for one specific purpose, and that was good. But I tell you, the folks were happy. If you form a committee that would address an integrated bus system here in Northwest Indiana, so that people can go there and look to see how we can maybe integrate our system, not consume one another, but rather either if there's an opportunity to merge to avoid duplication, people not losing their jobs, or maybe enhance it, or it provide for one umbrella with subsidiaries, or a whole host of things, and see how we can get those tax dollars. If the committee were to look at that, just like you've done in other areas, what's wrong with that? So I'd encourage you to maybe consider a committee, whatever you might title it, but that might look into reviewing the revenue that is used for buses, and how we might enhance it, how we might integrate it, and how we can provide better services. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Ready?
It's strange that we're up here again discussing about the public comment. 17 years ago, there was an article written in the Hammond Times, and in that article it said that NERC needs to listen to the public.
Yes.
I see NERC's purpose to create the conditions for which policymakers and the public, that's what I don't understand, why you are changing this public comment, had tossed it around in 3 different ways in 17 years. Half of you are elected officials, and how did you get your job? By listening to the public. Some of you are veterans that have fought for our rights. And that's what my comment is about this. You need to maintain this public comment and quit changing around and censoring it. When we come up here, if we want to question about $1 million, we should be able to question about it. That's our tax money. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Reverend Mack.
I'm gonna get up. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Is it on?
Good morning, yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear myself, but anyway. Brother Moses, come back. Come back. Mr. Rudy doesn't need you back. Sit. 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 It's coming. I know you want to leave. All right, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Most of you know who I am, but those that don't, they simply call me Reverend Mack. Sometimes I feel like a White Castle next to the Big Mac. And the White Castle doesn't get too much attention, but the building is a white color, so everybody still sees it. Amen. Now, I want to first thank everybody that came out, and the way the weather was, inclement weather, being here says something. Some people have come out and even sound sick, but they came here. So I applaud you. Me being a rev, an elder, sometimes people say, well, we don't need you to preach. So y'all pray for me, because what's in you comes out of you. So I'd just like to say that this part here is real quickly, if I can. I'll put it together because I have a whole lot of thoughts here. Wow. First of all, I don't want to forget to all the mothers that are here. Happy belated Mother's Day to you. It is a gracious thing to have women that are mothers. And I'm thankful for that. My mother's passed, so I'm thankful for the women that are here. And to those that I may not be here next month, happy Father's Day to you too as well. But that's a great thing to be a father today. Now, I said all that, get all that out of the way. I do think, as I heard from my other constituents, I'm thankful for the good things that have been done by NERC. We all can do some things better, amen, including myself. And I'm thankful that as a voice of the people, because I've been that all my life, some kind of way I've been, as you've heard me different times, found out that it's just me to help the least of somebody. So I've been crusading for the least all my life. When I had things that I had 20/10 vision, which are now, I'm more like Sister Barbara here. I'm legally blind and almost totally blind. Can't hardly hear. So I didn't hear everything that was said, and I never didn't see too much anything. But you don't have to be able to have to use your mouth to speak. The reason I had my sign the way I had it was, some people said it was upside down. Well, sometimes what I'm doing and hearing makes me feel like I'm just upside down. I just felt that way. So then some people say, well, my sign was backwards. It wasn't saying nothing. Well, sometimes I feel like my voice is trying to be, someone's trying to shut me up. Well, I can't say nothing. But yet I was still able to say something because whoever looked at those signs saw something and it got their attention. Now, a lot of times when we're here, I'm about peace and love and harmonizing. So I thank the Lord. All these different things that are here, different things that people are in this room, there's still some harmony in this room. I still feel some love in this room. It's not all war and hate, but what happens in our society, we begin to have war and division. And somebody's got to be the bad guy, and somebody's got to be the good guy. Well, why can't everybody just be the good guys? Why do we have to have that? So most of the time I've come, I feel like personal wars are going on here. And you can see the division of different people that take things personal, and they're not being professional. Instead of them saying, okay, this is this, and you know, in sports they have that. You can be the best of friends, but when you're on court, it's on. But when you get off the court, you should be able to talk and hear. And so those that are attorneys, I've seen my friends that are attorneys, they can go there, and then when they go there, they say, okay, you won. And shake off and keep on pushing. But it seems in here, that you come back, it's the same old war every time. Them against us, though. Them against us. Well, I want to ask this question. If I'm going to use myself as the head. I'm the head, and I got the rest of the body, neck on down, expressing things to me, and they're saying things to me, but I'm not hearing it. Well, what's going to happen sooner or later is the rest of the body is going to get together, and especially they're going to send it down to the feet, which are taking the body where it's going, and they're going to say, hey, brother feet, we got to get the head's attention. Well, how are we going to get it? Well, the foot says, well, I'll tell ankle, all he has to do next time he takes a step, let it go. Let's fall and twist the ankle some, and the head will get attention. I hear it. So what we hear is we're just being the foot, letting the head know, hey, and you don't seem to get it until you start hurting us. That's like all of us. We don't give no attention until stuff's hurting. So when these people are getting up, they're telling you they're hurting, they're pain, head, letting you know, okay, the reason we want your attention is because you're forgetting we're the ones taking you where you're going. Right. Without the people, you have no administration. There's no need for one. Right. So when you take away the voice of the people, then you don't have somebody tell your head, hey, you know what, ankle just got broke. And you're trying to wobble around and don't realize the ankle got broke because you don't want to hear the foot telling you, hey, head, the ankle's broke. Okay. I get it. So all I'm saying is we need one another. So we need to start recognizing that. And if you just shut off something else, you cut it off. And it's, you know, it's like you can have no feeling down here. It's still down there. You may have no feeling. But I've been told that people that lost their limbs from diabetes, and I know people that are close to me, they still feel like they got legs, even though they're not down there. So I mean, you still can't get rid of them. Yep. You can't get rid of them. So you're gonna have people come in here, and they've been coming 20 years, they're still coming. Everybody's changing positions, they're still coming. But why do they keep coming and it's the same old, same old? I don't understand that. We all say we're moving toward each other. To me, you seem to move apart because there's some wall that's there of division saying, okay, and I know what it is, it's personal pride. Personal pride keeps getting in the way, and it's stopping the same thing, like men, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes we don't want to hear nothing the women say. And then next time we look around and say, man, I should listen to my wife. So what all we're saying is don't shut us out.
Thanks.
That's all. God bless you. God keep you.
All right. We have one more. Mary Lee Vance. Mary Lee?
Hi. I actually have a request. I've been using the Loop, which I really appreciate, but I understand there's only one headset. It would be nice if you guys would invest in maybe another headset. Because it works better. This thing keeps falling out of my ear. So if you ask me questions, I may not be able to hear you. So just so you know, shout real loud. Anyway, what I want to say to you today is a couple of things. One is I do want to thank the servicemen. My father's a 94-year-old World War II veteran. I think he's very alive and he's still alive and kicking and still worrying about me. I keep saying, Dad, I'm old enough, I can do my own decisions. But you're also a baby. The thing I want to say, which segues into the next piece, is this. We talk about saying thank you to our servicemen, but we forget the wounded warriors. We forget those who are injured through their service, who are unable to drive.
Yes.
They are unable to go places.
Yes.
This is how we thank our servicemen.
Go
Not
on.
a good thing. We thank them by denying them their access to the society that they wrote a blank check to the United States saying that I hereby give my life to this country to provide for them the right to live in a free society. Then they come home and we deny them the ability to access society because they're unable to see. They're unable to drive because of neurological PTS and other kinds of injuries. So when we talk about light rail, this is a great idea. It's a wonderful idea, but it's not going to address the need for local public transportation.
Can you hit the microphone? I'm not hearing you.
Okay, sorry.
No, because you hit it. It went off. It went off. It definitely went off.
Went off when I had it.
Hello?
Sorry, because I can't hear you without it. Thank you. Thanks.
So, in addition to thanking our veterans, and I do hear that now too, so thank you, sorry. So in addition to thanking our veterans by providing for them access to the society that they gave their lives to and that they are returning to, there's also the issue of public transportation and the light rail and making sure that local residents have the ability to shop local. And one of the things that I remember leaving as a testament to one of the first NERC meetings held at Purdue University Calumet, which was about just a few months after I arrived here in the state and at that university, was I said that I read a lot in the papers about buying local. I would love to buy local, but the problem is to buy local, you gotta get there. So when we talk about the fact that yes, it's a nice idea, as a reverend and other people have noted, and Roy and everybody else have noted, that we deserve to be able to go more and medical appointments because quite frankly, my disability is such that I really don't require lots of doctor's appointments. What I require is ability to be able to do my job.
Come on.
I work full-time at the university, Purdue University Calumet. I have a PhD from Michigan State University.
Come on.
I have a lot of credentials. I've published 3 books from scholarly journals. I live a full professional life. And because of that full professional life, as an administrator, I'm required, as you well know, those of you who are CIOs and administrators know, we have to go to meetings. And the meetings aren't always being held at the same time, so the public transportation deems inappropriate. And so this is why I say that it's critical that not only is there a need for public transportation, but there's a need for people like myself who do work full-time, who want to be tax-paying citizens, who want to buy local have the ability to go and do such. So those are a couple of points I want to make. Number one, thank our servicemen by not forgetting our wounded warriors. Two, remember that in order to buy local, we need to be able to travel locally.
Yeah.
And three, we're not all a bunch of people who are losers.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Okay, that concludes the items on today's agenda. I will now entertain a motion for adjournment.
You have it.
Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion